Wide assortment of desserts and baked goods for all occasions.
Sir, you got that lobster?
Yes, chef, right away.
I'm ready for it. We've all heard the expression, eat with your eyes. That means the food looks so beautiful, you're already salivating and literally tasting it before you take a forkful. I'm going to put together a dish with lobster and a little bit of pigeon, a little seasoning here, salt and pepper. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a nice presentation. It relies on the beauty of the foodstuffs themselves. Pea shoots go down. This adds texture, a cleansing element, and color. I've got some wax beans, a little bit of matsutake mushroom, a little more pea shoot. I'm literally just laying the food on top of each other. Another piece of lobster, one more piece of pigeon, the pepper. My sauce is a curried carrot broth, little drizzle of that. A lot of flavor, very aromatic, but very, very light. This is a very, very sensual dish. Shellfish oil rounds it out with a perfume. Clean, beautiful presentation. That's because of the great foodstuffs. Today, food made beautiful, simply. Sometimes it's fun to take something from the sea and pair it with something from the land. Surf and turf is what that's called. We're going to do this with lobster that we've cooked, cleaned, broken the shells up, made a stock out of the shells. I've cut my lobster meat up, and it's just sitting here warm, ready to go. We're going to make a tartlet, a free-form tartlet. Very fun, easy to do. We can start by making the shell itself. A simple pie dough, something like puff pastry or pot brise or cream cheese dough. We simply take the dough and press it into a pie ring or a false bottom pan, something like that. Pressing it down, we can have pleated edges, straight edges, and really like any sort of baked shell like this that we're going to fill later, we're going to want to bake it first with some weights. I have some pie weights here, and this is easily enough done. This will go into a 400-degree oven for maybe 15 minutes. This is a cream cheese dough, really delicious, melts in your mouth, and we get that going. After we've taken it out of the oven and removed the ring and let it cool down, we're ready to proceed with our tartlet. So our shell can be made in advance. Looks something like this, beautiful golden, and I'm able to go about assembling my dish. I've got all my ingredients, they're all prepared. A mixture of corn, leek, mushrooms, they've been cooked, just cooked right on through, seasoned already. I've got my lobster meat, I've got tomatoes that have been slowly poached in olive oil, completely submerged in olive oil, and then the skins have been removed and they've been cut up, so they're just so succulent. It's almost like a confit of tomato. Hours of low temperature, submerged in the olive oil. My chorizo sausages, which have been sliced and sautéed. I could use a duck sausage, that would also be great. I could even use pieces of duck meat if I want to. Spinach, which has been lightly sautéed in butter. And these are the ingredients for my tartlet shell, ready to go. Let's go set about putting this together. This is tiny corn. If this isn't available, we can use regular corn, some leek. Both of these elements add a sweetness which is very complementary to the lobster flavor itself. Let's add a couple of nuggets of lobster now. And I just love that combination of sweet vegetables and lobster. These olive oil poached tomatoes which take on a satininess, take on a richness because they've been submerged in the olive oil, but they also retain just the most beautiful poignant edge of acid which just cuts into everything here. We'll add some pieces of sausage, a couple pieces of spinach. The spinach is nice, it adds color. That's an added advantage. I'm not as interested in color as I am in what spinach will bring to the dish. This really nice, clean astringency which will cut into everything. So we have a few pieces of spinach working. We have the tomato, lobster, we'll go back and add some more of that. A couple pieces of mushroom now. Mushroom will add an earthiness. These are cremini mushrooms. These are available all over the place. We could use button mushrooms. Those are also quite nice. Another chunk of lobster in there, a little more tomato. And as you see, it's like a lot of the food that we prepare. It's any quantity that we wish, any ratio of ingredients that we desire. It's much better when food is that way because it conforms to how you like to eat or what you like to emphasize, what you like to accentuate. I've got a recipe for this. It calls for this much lobster, this much sausage. You may want to kick the sausage out altogether. Who knows? It doesn't change the end result. It doesn't make it any less than what it is. So here I've got this arrangement. Everything's working together. We can get this on a roasting pan here, put this in the oven. This needs to go. Remember, everything is cooked, everything is seasoned, sitting in the shell. We can keep this warm right up until the last minute. Just keep it right on the oven, the top of the oven, and when we're ready to serve it, we'll put it in a 400-degree oven for maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes, just to throw a blanket of heat all the way through it, warm it through. Let's pop it in the oven here. And while that's going, we can go ahead and finish our sauce. So I have a lobster stock here, and this is made by taking my shells that I saved from the lobster. And sometimes you might think, well, I've only got 2 or 3 lobster shells. Is that enough to make a stock? Start saving any shrimp or lobster shells that you have. Take them, put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in your freezer. Once you accumulate several pounds of that, you're able to take them out, put them in a saute pan, saute them up, add some tomato, add some onion, deglaze it with a little cognac, add some water, and let it simmer for 45 minutes and strain it. That's what we have right here. We've taken all the flavor, we've made a lobster stock, and it's been strained off, and we're ready to go. To make this sauce, I'm going to take a couple pieces of butter, mix them in here, just real simple, and rather than just whisk it in or let it melt, I'm going to emulsify this. I'm going to blend this together so that aside from the combination, aside from me melting the butter right into this, I'm going to end up with this really interesting texture, this emulsion, this froth. It's just going to really lend an elegance to the mouthfeel of this dish. Now keep in mind, I'm doing this with lobster stock right now, but this would be really, really nice with mushroom stock. It would add an earthier element to it. It might even make this more of a red wine dish as opposed to a white wine dish. So it just takes a second. In the meantime, my tartlets are warming up in the oven. And all I'm going to need to do to finish is add some seasoning. Let me check the seasoning right now. We'll add a touch of salt. And taste that and see how we're doing here. You know, we can also add a touch of raw cognac to finish. Not too much, just a couple tablespoons there. And that'll just give it this really nice kind of refined alcohol finish. I don't mean alcohol in a turn-off way. I mean this sort of really nice wood flavor that the cognac has. Very complementary to shellfish. The touch of butter I added gives it this satiny richness to finish. So that's ready to go. If we wanted to do this with, as I say, mushroom stock or tomato stock, really anything, they would work quite well with this tartlet. Let's go ahead and get this out of the oven at this time. We're ready to remove it. And I can see this is ready to go. Why don't we get our plate here. We're ready to plate this up. And it's very, very simple at this point. We take maybe a little bit of spinach or possibly some of our olive oil poached tomato. We'll put that down on the plate. I always put a little something underneath it so it doesn't slide. A little piece of the braised spinach. Also, it helps to cut into the pastry in terms of the flavor of the spinach, the texture of the spinach. And now we can go ahead and just spoon a little bit of our beautiful frothy emulsion all over the top. This is going to add, of course, not only that rich, buttery lobster finish, and since we've added a touch of cognac, that's a nice little interesting edge that it's going to get. But don't forget, since we've created the emulsion, we're going to end up with this really nice satiny mouthfeel, and that's another dimension of texture. There's crunch, there's the crispy pastry, there's the nice lobster meat, the beautiful sausage with its elegant chewiness. We've got the leek, which is caramelized and sweet. We've got the corn, which is crunchy. We also have that satiny, bubbly mouthfeel that we get with this emulsion. Let's take some basil. A lot of different herbs would work great here. Tarragon is a great friend of shellfish. Chervil would be great. We'll use basil on this. Chiffonade at the last moment. We release all that flavor. Just drop a few pieces of basil around the edges here. And I can go ahead and maybe a little twist of pepper will be a nice way to add a final little poignant note to this. There we have it, the individual free-form tartlet, very special stuff. And you know what? It's not that hard. I'm going to try this. Let's check it out. Get a piece of mushroom and a piece of lobster and get all these flavors together. It's a special treat. Let's go next door and find out what's going on over there. To get the best result in cooking lobster, it's best to take the tail and the claws, separate them from the body, and cook them separately. I find that the claws take a little bit longer to cook, maybe 4.5, 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. The tail, on the other hand, kind of like a duck breast, takes a little bit less time to cook because there's a thinner shell and a little bit less cartilage running through it. So this will take a quicker time, maybe 3.5, 4 minutes. We want to save the head because we can make a wonderful stock or sauce or even a flavored oil out of that. So we'll set that aside. And what I like to do is take a skewer and ride it through the length of the body. And what we're able to do is keep a firmer, tauter body, easier to clean, easier to slice. We'll place the claws in first, and roughly a minute and a half later, we can place the tail in and let those go. This is a Maine lobster, fresh lobster. The only way to go is with fresh live lobster. If you cook a dead lobster, it's never going to be the same. The meat's going to be mushy. It's not going to be succulent. Once we're ready to take out the claws and the tail, it's important to shock this immediately in an ice bath to stop the cooking. Put this in here, let it cool down for 3 to 5 minutes. We don't want to leave it in there too long because it'll become waterlogged. The meat will become waterlogged. We'll lose some of the succulence. Once it's done, though, we're able to remove it and break apart the shell from the actual meat. The result, beautiful knuckle meat here, claw meat, tail meat, all can be used for different purposes. You know, lobster works so well with sweet things, any kind of fruit. Tropical fruits may be the best. A little Tahitian vanilla bean, I think that's what we ought to do. Who doesn't love beautiful tropical fruit, fresh, succulent, opulent, just gorgeous fruit, mixed with a little bit of vanilla bean, maybe a touch of black pepper for some heat, and then everything combined with something luscious like lobster, or any shellfish for that matter. I'm going to start by showing you how to make this great vinaigrette. Very, very simple. We're going to take vanilla bean. There are Tahitian vanilla beans and Madagascar vanilla beans. You can use vanilla extract. You can buy one of those vanilla beans that comes in a jar that's got, it's been sealed. I wouldn't even go in that direction. I'd go out of your way to try to find something like this. It's plump, fat with this beautiful vanilla oil. Very, very easy to work with. People think of using vanilla to make ice cream base or make custards or to use in different dessert preparations, cakes and such. But vanilla can also work very, very well in savory food preparations like this. See, I just glide the knife along the pod itself, scraping the seeds. A little bit goes a long way. That doesn't look very potent, what I've just placed in that bowl, but believe me, when you taste even the scraped seeds from one pod mixed into a vinaigrette, it starts off slow, but it builds up and it just explodes with this elegance, this sensuality. Twisting pepper into this container now, and we're going to add some oil. I wouldn't go too strong with an olive oil or a nut oil. I would use something more neutral so we can really showcase the vanilla. I have grapeseed oil here. I have a touch of olive oil. We don't need too much, just a little bit. Straight olive oil, I think, would really outduel the vanilla in terms of who plays the more prominent flavor role. We'll use some citrus juice. This is a mixture of lime and orange. We'll dump some of that in. Probably use a little more citrus than normal because orange is sweeter than straight lime. So we would maybe break the ratio of 3 to 1, 4 to 1 and use 2 parts of the oil and 1 part of the combined citrus juice. And then we're ready to blend it up. I can whisk this together. I think if I use a hand blender or put it in a food processor or an upright blender, I might distribute that vanilla a little bit better. I can add some salt along the way. This also emulsifies it kind of nicely, giving it this really interesting sheen. Let me go ahead and just taste this and make sure we're on the right flavor track here. Vinaigrette can be made a little bit in advance. Anytime you can do something ahead of time, you just save yourself a few steps at the end. Oh, that's almost right on. I'm going to add just another pinch of salt, a twist of pepper. I really enjoy that heat combination the pepper with the vanilla. The orange juice is there to help sweeten that vanilla slightly, not making it sweet, dessert sweet, but making it sweet enough to really explode with its flavor and to go perfectly with this tropical fruit. So we mix that up, and we're all set. Vinaigrette's made. Put that on the side. We can cut up a few fruits. I've got mango here. This is certainly easy enough to use, available pretty much all year round, coming from the Caribbean, sometimes from Mexico. We've got pineapple, always a great treat. I've got papaya. I'm going to show you how I cut one of these up. Very, very simple. Cut off the top, the bottom. I could use a vegetable peeler or a knife. Sometimes it's a little quicker just to use your knife, gliding along the skin. Wouldn't really want to eat papaya skin. It's kind of the same process in doing a mango, except of course the inside is radically different. A mango has one large pit of a seed, and of course papaya here has a lot of little seeds that just need to be scraped right out. So we'll go ahead and cut around here, removing all the excess skin, and then all I do is cut this open, and you can see how gorgeous that is on the inside. This beautiful, lush, the seeds, they look so fantastic. I'm just going to scrape them right out. Not really, you can't eat them, but it looks so great. A ripe papaya has the sort of same texture and consistency as a very, very ripe melon. In fact, melon could easily be substituted here. You know, that's the beauty of what we do. We work with what's in season, what's available, what we like to eat or prepare. And so I have my papaya. I've got everything ready to go. Here's another something we could use: guava, pineapple guava. This is how it looks when it's peeled. I even have something like passion fruit, which is available all over the place. It's like the kiwi used to be. These types of fruits are becoming more and more popular, easy to work with. I want to show you two preparations for this sort of dish. One, we can spend some time and make it look a little bit more elaborate, a little bit more involved. The other is just tossing everything together and putting it in a bowl. We'll start by taking our mixing bowl. We'll get a little pineapple going here. Really, all we have to do is cut it into some chunks, whatever size we desire. And of course, we can highlight or accentuate whichever fruit we might like more. We might want to have more mango, more papaya. Well, let's use more of it. We'll take a mango. We've already removed the pit, of course. Just going to cut some nice strands here, and why don't we go ahead and chop these up into small bite-sized pieces, add them to our bowl. We'll go ahead and do the same with the papaya. And really, this is part of the fun. Cutting these things, imagining as you go, how am I going to put these together in terms of serving it? Well, we're just going to do it in a family-style way. Just serve it up. So I've got the guava, the pineapple guava. You see the seed in the interior. That's edible. Really, the only thing that we might want to avoid is the skin. The skin is edible on a guava like this, but it tends to be just slightly chalky, so I do avoid that. We'll just cut these into small pieces, little discs, add these to the bowl, and I can add a touch of vinaigrette here. Spoon some of that on. Just toss these a little bit, and let's just mix them up. Now we can add our salad greens here. Got some watercress. This will add a really interesting peppery note to things. And we've got the lobster. So we've got a tail, and we've got a claw. We can cut this up in any way. I'm going to cut it in half and then cut it into some chunks here. You know, we can just as easily substitute shrimp if we want to. I can cut the claw up if I want to, or I'll leave it whole maybe and place it on top. So let's place the lobster meat in here. A little bit more of the vinaigrette. Touch of salt, and we're ready to pretty much plate this up. Let's get our plate over here. And I'm going to start by just placing a couple of leaves of watercress on the plate. Get a big handful of the mixture of the lobster and the fruit, setting it down there. I want to make sure I taste everything. And I like things like this because you take a bite and you get things hit you in different ways. Whenever you're eating anything, you get an explosion of the tropical fruit. Then you get the vanilla hitting you. Then you get the beautiful pepper kind of cutting into things. Then you're getting the opulence of the lobster meat itself, the shellfish meat. Well, as I say, now we might be able to go ahead and take the claw, just lay that right on top, If we want to add something a little bit different, I could go back and put a little vinaigrette on that, and I can serve it up as it is. Another touch would be to add some mint, a little bit of mint that we would pluck the leaves and chop them up a little bit. And this will add just one more fragrant note, complementary to the other flavors, just giving it a little twist of things. Chop that up real simply, real quickly. That last minute chopping, releasing that aromatic flavor, that beautiful aroma, strewing the mint about the plate. And we're pretty much ready with that dish. Serve it up, make a bigger one if you want, and then scoop it out at the table, or individual portions like this. Sometimes, though, it's appropriate to raise it up a little bit and make it a little bit different, and that's what we call a presentation. And it just takes an extra moment or two, and it's really not that difficult. Same idea. We'll take the same fruits, same exact ingredients, and we'll just spend another moment and lay it out and make it look maybe a little more appetizing. Sometimes when you're getting a plate of food, you look at it, and before you even take a bite, you're saying, gosh, that looks so great. I want to try that. I want to, you know, you're salivating. You're just going, this is incredible. And you haven't even taken a bite. A lot of that has to do with the presentation. Of course, all presentations are based on gorgeous, perfect foodstuffs, and even a tossed combination of ingredients is gorgeous just by looking at the beauty of the lobster, this meat, looking at the fish itself. Let's go ahead and add some more of our papaya here. I'm really just placing these ingredients in the bowl. That way I'll be able to nicely coat them with a little vinaigrette, and I'll kind of place everything on the plate itself, and we can just proceed from there. So maybe I won't use the guava on this one. Maybe I'll go ahead and add some of this passion fruit, maybe at the very end. So spoon a little bit of the vinaigrette, and it just, I mean, as I dip my spoon and I just get that smell, it's so wonderful. Well, let's go ahead and take some of the watercress here, pull it out. We can lay some of this down on the plate. You know, I'm not going to dress these now because by the time I place a few pieces of the fruit on top and the lobster meat itself and then go back and drizzle everything with a little bit more of the vinaigrette, I'm afraid I might overdress the salad greens. So I'll wait till the very end before I go ahead and address those. Let me take some of the mango here and put it on just a little bit differently than just tossing it necessarily. We'll just tuck these pieces kind of under the greens. Easily enough done. And I think you'll see in a moment what we're trying to do here, which is almost recreate the look of the lobster in a way. Kind of fun. Some of the dining trips I've taken to Europe, I've always noticed that the French chefs have some fun with this. They'll take a lobster and they'll cook it and they'll recreate it on the plate. Well, it's sort of cute, and we can do it too, but maybe a little bit differently. We'll lay these chunks out here, right on the back of the tropical fruits, and we'll go ahead and take a little bit more of that vinaigrette. Just drizzle it right on the meat, just saturating the meat. This is what we call napping the meat with the vinaigrette. A little bit on the plate. So by now it's all dripping down and touching the leaves of the watercress. Along the way, you gotta relate to the ingredients. And I'm standing here plating this, and I'm talking to you, and I'm thinking about things. But you know what? My mind is racing hundreds of miles an hour, and I'm just thinking, gosh, I'm dying to take a bite of this because these flavors are like communicating to me. These textures, everything is happening at once. So I'm going to go back, take the mint, take my passion fruit here. Remember, we didn't use this on the spontaneous one. We used the guava, but now we're going to use some of this stuff. Look at this. It's unbelievable. We'll spoon it out. Very easy to work with. This is a little bit sharp, a little bit astringent. Passion fruit, you know, maybe it's got that name because of the bitterness, you know. Love can be bitter, and passion fruit is a little bit bitter in a beautiful way, though. We'll set that on the side. That gives it a nice look. Twist of pepper, everything working together. Very, very harmonious stuff. We'll take some of the mint, and this can go on at the very end. And, you know, this is the same dish as the other one, except we just spend another minute and do something a little different, and here we have it. The tossed version and the composed version, a little playful with the mango coming out, emulating the arms of the lobster. Everything working together. Luscious lobster, succulent fruit, the vanilla boosted by the orange, bringing its sweetness up, the beautiful pepper kind of cutting into things, the cleansing lettuce. Nice combination, easy to do. Very, very special stuff. Thanks for joining us on the Kitchen Sessions. I'll see you next time.